Duperos y duperas. Today on Doop by the River, we are getting closer to another Union season, but we still got some of those preseason games. We're going to go over some of the news and notes of our Philadelphia Union, and we're going to do a little bit of a position preview. Today, we're looking at our goalkeepers and our defenders as we're getting closer to another Union season, and don't you dare go anywhere because you guys do not want to miss another episode of Doop by the River. Let's get it started, guys. Done it! And that is right. Welcome, everyone, to Doop by the River, the show where we follow everything Philadelphia Union. Of course, we are brought to you by Philly Sports Network. Before we move forward with another episode of Doop by the River, real quick, guys, if you're tuning on in YouTube, thank you so much for tuning on. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe to us. We would truly appreciate that. And, of course, you can find Doop by the River along with all of your other Facebook podcasts. You can find that under Apple, Google, and Spotify. Look it up under PSN Radio. It's good to be back. Obviously, I was out last week, and of course, the guys held it down, but we got our usual suspects back, and I'm so excited to get started talking about some of these Doop news that we got going on here. And today, let's introduce our panel of Doopers. First up, let's start off with my man, Mr. Tim Lovingood. Tim, what's going on? And I have a question to ask you. All right, we're gonna start off this episode a little differently.
All right,
dude, can we show some love to the AFCON? Shouts out to Senegal. You did a great job with the article on PSN. And of course, you know me, Tim. I love me some Kalidou Koulibaly. How about Senegal?
Hey, they had a great tournament. They were pre-tournament favorites to win it, and they had never won before. And they went out and did it. Sometimes it looked like they might not get through some of the games, but they dominated pretty much every game they're in and beat Egypt on penalties, which isn't easy to do all the time. So, hey, props to them. And they're champions of Africa, and they get to play. Egypt 2 times coming up in March to go to the World Cup. So it's not over for those 2 teams.
That is pretty awesome, and I know for you as a Liverpool fan, you were a little bit divided with this final here with 2 of those stars.
Yeah, I mean, Sadio Mane, Mo Salah. Mane was diving all over the field. He was diving all over the field. He probably should have been sent off, and then he hits the game-winning penalty. So it was written in the stars.
This team kind of reminds me a little bit of that Ivory Coast team from those late 2000s team. Polarizing player, Didier Drogba, and of course now Sadio Mane. So pretty dope seeing Senegal doing the job there. And of course, let's move on to my man, Mr. Justin 41212 Tactical Expert Pride. First off, man, this nickname again is absolutely awesome. Justin, what's going on, man? And what I want to ask you today, Justin, how are you surviving the most wild MLS all season of all damn time, man?
It's just simply the flurry of news that sustains me. People are like, it's not the flurry of news. It's the lack of news that really hurts me. It really hurts me to my core. But the fact that this is such a short off season means a flurry of activity, incoming, outgoing. I mean, it's been silly. There's a reason it's been called silly season. I mean, Xherdan Shaqiri is going to the Chicago Fire. Douglas Costa is going to the LA Galaxy. In what world does that make any sense whatsoever?
I'm here for it.
Seriously, makes no sense. So, I guess Chicago doesn't care about defense because they can score 3 goals, they'll give up 4, but man, it'll be entertaining. So that's what sustains me. The flurry of news sustains me. It's like I'm like it's like photosynthesis. I get my sustenance with all the MLS transfer rumors.
Seriously, man, Philly's literally laying the groundwork to building a good team, and these guys still want to go back to MLS 2.0. It's absolutely wild. Absolutely wild. Well, this is a perfect segue because we're going to welcome on in our one of our favorite experts here, Zach Lobasso, is checking on in. Zach, I have to ask you, obviously you see it here. A shout out to AK Gaming's in the chat again. I want to ask you, how would you feel if one Kasper Shabilko, who is now with AK Gaming Chicago Fire, happens to win the Golden Boot? Now, here's the thing. The most goals that Kasper scored in a season was 15 back in 2019. Last season, in 32 games, Castellanos won the Golden Boot with 19 goals. I don't know. And he's got Shaqiri with him. I don't know, Zach.
It won't happen. There's no like I wouldn't be surprised. Like genuinely, I wouldn't be surprised if like Chicago ended up playing in a way where like Shaqiri was their striker and Casper just didn't play that much.
Or Casper on the wing, which would be wild.
Dude, if Casper, you can't play wing if you're that slow. That's not possible. That's not how this works. Nah, I mean, if he wins the Golden Boot, I'm gonna have some crow to eat. To be honest, that will not be good. That will not be good Zach, for my self-esteem and for
I think we should make it a little more interesting. If Kasper Szabelko wins the Golden Boot.
Boy, I'm here for this.
Yeah,
I'm thinking now. Maybe this is just me going, and maybe it's because it's a little out there. If Kasper Szabelko wins the Golden Boot, I'm trying to think of a good maybe permanent reminder.
Oh my
God! Doing Zach now
of the crow that will.
How about this? I'll make you guys a bet. All right, I'll make you guys a bet. All right, if Kasper wins the Golden Boot, I will buy myself a Union Kasper Szabelko jersey. Okay,
where are you gonna get one of those?
I'll just buy a Union jersey and have them put Szabelko 23 on the back somewhere.
You can't do that.
If Kasper Szabelko scores less goals, then I'm going to make it very difficult for you guys to have to pay this up. That if he scores less goals than Glesnes this season,
oh man,
you guys have to buy me a Glesnes jersey. Actually, no, you have to buy me a jersey of my choosing. I don't know who it is yet, but that is my deal. If Kasper wins the Golden Boot, I will buy a Kasper Szabelko Union jersey. And I don't know what I'll just wear it, take a picture, whatever, post on Twitter or whatever, all that good stuff.
Realistically, I think he can get close to 15 with Chicago this year.
Oh, dude, I don't know. Did Chicago even score close to 15? Their whole
I don't think they'll defend much. Although AK Gaming believes that his defense got better.
No, I have not seen anything that indicates that the defense has gotten.
I don't know about that.
And you can create as much chances as you want, but if Casper's missing sitters like he's, I don't know if he's going to score 15.
I'm curious how Shaqiri's going to feel after having some pretty good strikers of the years and going to Kasper and being
he's going to be scoring.
Hey, why can't you finish?
He's going to be scoring bicycle kicks and then sets up Kasper for a tap in to win the game, and he skies it over.
When these rumors first surfaced, I put in our chat, I was like, man, Shaqiri's going to set up all these chances for Kasper just so he can hit it over the bar.
Yeah.
It's going to happen.
Yeah, dude, he's definitely
field goal kicker.
He's definitely scoring a game winner against us this season. I will bet good money on that, dude.
Oh my god.
No. Listen, he'll score the first goal in a 4-1 loss for Chicago.
All right, maybe
4 goals for Ure. Let's go,
dude. Imagine imagine Kasper scores less than Glesnes.
All right, Chicago's got bigger problems at that point, but I'm so excited. We'll obviously get to our season predictions and previews and all that good stuff as we get closer to the season. Really excited to see what these guys have to say in the Eastern Conference because it's going to be an interesting one going into 2022. But currently, right now, gentlemen, our team is currently playing a actual preseason game down in Clearwater, Florida. Right now, it is. Last update if you're on the match blog. Shouts out to our Union front office employee who's doing these updates. Is actually pretty helpful. The fact that we're not watching it, get to that in a second. But it is it's a 0-0. It's actually a 1-0 Union lead over Montreal as we got one goal here from Corey Burke. But first off, guys, what I want to ask: no stream tonight? We can't watch it? Oh, look, I was one of those guys that was hollering and screaming, like, why can't we watch this game? Now, Zach, why do you think it is that we're not able to watch this game live online?
Well, so apparently they're playing another half of soccer. They just tweeted out that, like, they finished the second half, and then they just tweeted out, like, another halftime. So I don't know how much more they're going to be.
Did you see the way they spelled it, though?
I just saw that, Justin.
I mean, I really doubt they would have signed Santi back, but that just
No, that they're not bringing back Bethlehem Steel legend Santi Moar. They meant to spell more, and they just misspelled it, so it's fine.
Oh yeah, I don't know. That's a good question. But yeah, so I have no idea why we can't watch it unless it's the fact that it's an elongated scrimmage and all that stuff. Yeah, I would assume that that's the reason. I know that you guys, someone mentioned that like maybe because Montreal's in Champions League and they don't want that film out there, but like, come on, man, like it's pretty like who cares?
Also, I saw that like the game's being played in Fort Myers, which is not Clearwater, so I don't know even where this game is being played.
Yeah, well,
if it's like a real field.
Yeah, well, it looked like the field that they played on the first time didn't have like lights.
Yeah.
So I would guess that maybe they had to go somewhere else too, and maybe they just didn't have the like capabilities of streaming it.
Yeah, it is what it is. It's annoying, but
it is annoying. Hopefully, we can watch the last game against. Is it Nashville? They're playing the last game.
It is Nashville.
Yes.
Is the final preseason
10 days
game. Wow,
Jeez,
that's a long
10 days. Yeah, that is a while.
18.
Well, Mikael better be here by now. That's all I'm saying. Or by then, not by now. By then.
So let me ask you that, Justin. Should we freak out with Ure not in Clearwater, or I'm assuming he's not in the United States, right?
I mean, I don't know if he's in Clearwater. I'm not too worried. I think for some reason
thank you, Sean.
This logistical stuff always seems to take a little bit.
Yeah, man.
I mean, it's not
for the Union. Just for the Union, though.
Yeah. If you're David Beckham, you just say, "I'm David Beckham." And...
Well, even like Orlando signed Ersin Cara, or however you say his name, and he was already playing in preseason and getting hurt. So, like, you know.
Well, I mean, they have a history of that with strikers. Just look at Alexandre Pato.
Yeah, you're wrong. Yeah.
But I'm not too worried, especially because. I mean, again, people were like, "Oh, he came off of playing in December where he had 11 goals in 16 games." I really don't think a month off for him, for a player like him, is going to be that detrimental. Now, you want him to get a little bit of time to gel with his teammates, and I mean, you have what? No more than 2 preseason games after this, with your season starting in 2.5 weeks.
Right.
So I just hope listen, I don't care if he doesn't play a preseason game. That doesn't concern me. My concern would be him not being here before February 26th.
Yeah.
If he can get a week of training in, I'm cool with that. That's all he needs.
I think realistically, I mean, you have, like I said, if he, as long as he's here by next Saturday, he gets at least 5, I'd say close to a full week of training, you're fine. You really only need a few sessions just to kind of feel, because you know what you have in him. You don't have a striker. You just tell him to get out on the field and just make those runs.
Yeah, and all he really has to figure out is like the press and how they want to do the press, because everything out, like attacking wise, it's kind of just fluid, and however the game works, Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's patterns and stuff, but defensively is really where you need the training, because him and we assume Carranza up top together are going to have to like really work well together and figure out who's going when and which way and all that good stuff.
Honestly, you could just tell Carranza to do all the defensive work on that first week if he doesn't have much training. Like just tell him to hang up there, and Carranza will do the work. Asdag will do the work, and then we'll get you the ball.
I think that's not. I think really the only thing in terms of that Orr really is going to have to work on is, I think, because it's a 2-striker system, I think you have to have a conversation with Carranza. Him and Carranza have to be like, okay, because when you're in that type of system, the strikers have to be on the same page. Mm-hmm. You don't want them both running at the same player. You don't want them occupying the same space. And Carranza's, I mean, that's the thing. That's the reason that the Union got him, obviously, to see if they could, get him for whatever value.
Pennies on the dollar.
Pennies on the dollar. But also, his defensive work rate has always been the thing that, despite all the other things that haven't really, as far as they can tell, panned out, they said his defensive work rate has been second to none. So I think you could have Carranza focus on that and have Ura. I say selectively press because I don't think you need both strikers going full press at the. I mean, that and the Union last year really didn't have a full press by any standard. It was
because we didn't have any pace up top.
It was a selective press, as Jim referred to it
about it. Yeah, he said Brendan Aronson isn't here anymore. We can't press the way we used to because he's just.
Yeah, I think that's the difference. Is you don't have that type of player, but also pressing relentlessly all the time doesn't work. Just ask San Jose. You run out of steam.
Man, marking San Jose.
But I think you run out of steam eventually.
Unless you could totally outpossess the other team, like City, because City and Liverpool legitimately press the entire game, but when they have the ball, they have it for like 25 minutes at a time.
But that's the difference. When you have the ball for 60% of the game, you're not really you're pressing most of the game, but you're also giving yourself respite from that press.
Yeah.
The Union, I mean, not that they could have the legs to now, but I just think it's Jim, I think, realized that changing how the press operated, you saw, even led to more success. And I think having that ability to adapt and evolve is something that if anyone at U.S. Soccer was smart, they would have realized that Ernie Stewart did not allow here and doesn't seem to allow the U.S. national team. That's another diatribe and maybe another article about how Ernie Stewart and the Berhalter family are the downfall of all that is U.S. soccer. But no, honestly, I think as long as, like I said, Zach said, and we all said, as long as Ura is here with a week of training or so, I'm not terribly concerned.
It's not like we have CCL this year if we need them to rush back and
you have what, Leagues Cup and U.S. Open Cup, I think.
Yeah,
and
in the middle of the season,
and considering who's going to be, I mean, considering World Cup qualifying, you're really only going to have concerns about that for the first few months, because then you're not going to have to worry about it until the season will be over by the time the World Cup happens. So you won't have to worry about it at that point.
It's good points. Good points. Sergio got knocked again?
Maybe. There's no stream. So we don't know. All we saw was the message the Union put out, and Sergio got taken off in the 36th minute, and Corey Burke came on. And that's that. I'm sure we'll hear about it in Jim Curtin's press conference. I think I saw a few people in Union Twitter, like it was Joe Tanzi, I think, who said, like, before everyone starts overreacting about these little blog posts that are put out by the team or tweets, listen to Jim Curtin's press conference about the game whenever he gives it, either whether it be tomorrow or Thursday. And that's where you'll really learn what happened in the game. So that's what I'm waiting on. I'm going to hope and knock on wood here that Sergio didn't get taken out for an injury. We all feared that in the first game too, and Curtin was like, "No, he's just cramping up because it's hot down here in Florida." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I know it was like,
you shouldn't do that.
Apparently, it's a really rainy day down there, so like maybe he just slipped and he's okay. They just want to take him out just in case. Like, that's where my brain is taking me. So hopefully that's what it is.
He's literally my age, which I was trying to see whether age was a good factor, but going into this season, we'll obviously dive deep into the whole forward position, but like, how would you manage, I guess, Sergio's minutes in 2022?
He's a super sub for me. Yeah, that's how I would manage his minutes. You just tell him, come on with 30, 25 minutes, run like hell for that time. Don't pull a hammy. Don't
hurt yourself.
Don't twist the knee. But just go all out for basically play the El Seno role. And that's how I would manage it.
Yeah, because I think if like the Union do rotate the forwards, I think Corey's the one who starts over Sergio for sure.
You think? Because I mean, I think they're two different types of strikers. Like Carranza really is the Sergio quote unquote swap.
Is he?
Yeah, I don't know. He's not
in terms of
like,
pace, I really feel like it.
I don't know. He's
In
not
terms of
like.
pace, I really feel like it.
Oh, I don't think Carranza's nearly as fast.
Well, I think pace and style. I don't think Corey was more of a slightly faster Casper.
Yeah,
that
I mean,
type of
that's
striker.
fair. I just also think that, like, what Tim was saying, like, how I don't think you should ever start, like, unless you have to, you shouldn't start Sergio. Like, there's no need to, because of what he brings off the bench. Is so important because, like, when defenders are tired, the last thing you want is some guy who's probably one of the fastest guys in the league just running at you.
Yeah,
like, that's not what you want.
It's gonna be a lot of fun, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Zach, obviously we weren't able to watch this last preseason game, but from what you've read and from what you saw in the first preseason game, who is the one player that has impressed you that you didn't anticipate to?
That I did. All right. So first off, Gazdag looked really, really good, and apparently he's been playing really well tonight. He's going to win the MVP. That's what's going to happen this year. But someone who I wasn't expecting to look as good as they did, it'd probably be Bueno or Carranza. I would say those two. Carranza, I didn't really have any expectations for, just because, like, I had no idea what, like, we were getting into with him. But him and Gazdag combined really well. And he was moving well off the ball. Obviously, he scored a goal. And then Bueno just looked really calm on the ball. I wasn't doing all the crazy dribbling nonsense that Brujo does a lot. That really, really bothers me. If Brujo stopped dribbling so much, we would be best friends.
It's him and Miro, bro.
Dude. Oh, yeah. Miro. Yeah. I agree.
They just talk about that in the dressing room.
Just start passing, and that's it. Okay. No, but Bueno looked really good on the ball. He got on it, switched the play really well. He looked confident when he was looking up for passes. Lacked a little bit in the physicality department, but I mean that comes with time and working out with the trainers and stuff all the time. Like he'll grow into that role, I think. But those are the two that impressed me the most.
Justin, I put out the tweet. The center back position is absolutely fine. I put a picture out of Brandon Craig. He's actually kind of impressed me. That's one guy I would say. Do you believe that we're good at that position?
Yeah, initially my off-season priority list or wish list was number 1 striker and number 2 a backup center back. I mean, I think it was kind of up in the air as to whether Aurelian Collin would come back as a depth piece. But I think Jim said it, at least early on, that there were some players impressing him. And Brandon Craig, at least in the game that I saw, looked pretty calm for a kid who, let's be honest, we really didn't see out of all the academy kids, the homegrowns, ones that were coming up. He was in the signing group with Win Sullivan and McGlynn and all those guys, and didn't hear a peep, not a single thing. And so, in the back of my mind, like, I was always kind of wondering where he was, and I think that's what the good thing Jim has done is he has given these kids the exposure to the environment and not forced them in. And I think he must have seen enough, at least that I saw enough from the first game, to go, okay, I think we're good. Yeah. And I think you can now confidently have 4 center backs that are going to have pace, are going to have athleticism. You're too deep at basically every position at this point, and center back for once is too deep. It's not just 3 center backs and like Aurelian Collin. Like you have 4 center backs that can easily step up, and you have 2 that you just signed to long-term extensions. One who, if Stewart goes, and there were a lot of rumors in this offseason, we legitimately weren't sure. But if he has to go, I think Brendan Craig can step up and fill in next to either of them. I mean, he's a big kid. For
6'1", only 17 years old.
Listen. I think at this point, it's almost a requirement for our center backs to be at least 6 foot. And who knows? Maybe he's got a golazo waiting to happen. I mean, that's kind of the almost a semi requirement for center backs on this team to be able to score.
I'm sure Glez is giving some tippers right now, man.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I'm sure he just goes, you take ball, you hit ball into net
with aggression, with straight up aggression,
with that Viking strength.
Yes, sir. Should be excited, man. The future is bright. We have a lot of good young kids. I cannot wait to see more of them in 2022. Last bit of news and note, ladies and gentlemen, for everyone who was worried, Union Hulk is alive. He's well. He's got his van now, and everything is good in the universe because Union Hulky is completely fine. How long has Union Hulky been on Twitter?
I don't know.
It feels like forever. I'm actually not sure.
He from day one, he always showed me love. So he's definitely one of the positives in Union Twitter. Always giving us a laugh. And his PBRs and jalapeno poppers it's classic. It's an absolute classic. So good stuff. Good stuff there. All right, guys, let's get into a little bit of positional previews. Today we'll do our goalkeepers and defenders for 2022, and then next episode we'll do the midfield and the forwards. Kind of looking at each position and where we're at. And of course, I'm sure everyone saw the Philly Soccer Page article by Peter Andrews. This is probably one of the most stacked rosters this team's had, and I'm excited to kind of break this down with you. So when we look at our goalkeeper position, I don't think anyone really needs to say it, but obviously we have one of the best, if not the best goalkeeper in the league in Andre Blake. And of course, behind him, you got Joe Bendick, the vet, with the homegrown Matt Freese. No Rajiz, what I don't know what his name was.
Rajat Singh. He's in Toronto now, I believe.
What?
Yeah, I think I did see that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a backup, Yeah.
Well, good for him, man. He's finding a way around the league, so good for him. I guess they did that more so for the Gold Cup last year, getting that fourth goalkeeper. But yeah, interesting to see what we have here. I guess really because obviously we know Andre Blake what he is, but like, what expectations do we really like? Can he exceed farther in his expectations with this club? Like, I feel like he's done everything possible.
I don't know if he can do more. Like,
do the same.
Fulfill more, but I mean, this year with Matt Turner leaving mid-season to go to Arsenal, Andre Blake should now believe okay, I'm winning goalkeeper of the year, and let me show you why.
I want the Orlando fans here, Tim.
Hey, listen, Gaese is doing his stuff for Peru. That's great.
Oh yeah,
we don't have to talk about it. I'm sorry, I know, but that's what Andre Blake has to prove right now. He has to prove okay. My one main competition for goalkeeper of the year is now leaving MLS to go to the Premier League, and let me show you why I am the best goalkeeper, even when he was here. And then Andre should probably be hoping for a move as well. I know, it is what it is. A lot of Union fans probably won't want to hear that, but he could be an MLS lifer with the Union, or he could still go and play in one of the best leagues in the world, especially if Jamaica keeps moving up in those FIFA rankings. So that's kind of what I think his ceiling is right now.
He'll turn 32 by next playoffs. I guess I'll have to check the schedule, but November 21st is his birthday. He'll turn 32 then. So
he'll be over.
yeah. Okay. Oh, true, because we have the World Cup this year. But I agree with you. I think for me, more so, I want to get this guy some sort of hard, actual, legit hardware. Obviously, Jamaica got eliminated in the World Cup qualification, so this dude is really grinding. I mean, what was he, top 10? What was that list we saw earlier?
He was up for top 20. He was in the top 20 list for goalies of the year for the whole world.
I think he was one of only two goalies from CONCACAF.
Yeah,
him and Matt Turner.
And Crepeau was up there too.
Maybe was it Kaylor Navas too? I thought maybe
Kaylor was there too. I think
the four main guys from CONCACAF were all there, but still, he was mentioned in the top 20 in the world.
Yeah, man, it's really just let's get this guy some hardware for sure. Justin, we've talked before, man. You know my love for Matt Freese. I would love for him to be the goalkeeper once that day's over for Andre Blake, man. And I guess what is the expectation for someone who kind of is just waiting for this legend to kind of play out his career?
I think at this point, he's got to be able to step in when ready. I think it's it's the best thing in the in the world to have that good of a goalie who never, outside of 1 year, never seems to take a game off, never seems to slow down. His, just pure athleticism and ability to, even if he's out of position, the ability to get and to make the position to make a freakish save. And I do mean freakish by all stretch of the imagination. It's I'm sure he's like, okay, maybe when is my opportunity? But all at the same time, there's always only so many starting positions in so many teams. And at this point, he's the backup goalie on a professional soccer team, on an MLS roster. I think he's just going to have to bide his time. I mean, he's still young. And to be honest, goalie is kind of a weird position where their prime of their careers is a lot later than most people, because typically they get their starting jobs a lot later than most positions.
Unless you're Donnarumma.
Yeah, like unless you're Donnarumma and you're the heir apparent to
the best goalie of all time.
Who is like, at this point could be the Chris Chelios of soccer players and just never retires. Like, I mean, most goalies get started in terms of really starting for teams
mid-20s.
Mid to late 20s. So I'm not too concerned. It's something that I think you having a gun goalie like that as a backup is a luxury that the team can afford, at least for the moment.
Yeah, and he can ball in the Open Cup this year too. So,
and Leagues Cup.
Justin,
he's got opportunities.
Justin, I'm just surprised that Chris Albright hasn't bought Matt Freese yet.
No, they got Atlanta's young guy, Khan, right?
That's right.
Well, he's not that young, but he was.
Well, you know what I mean.
No, I saw something that just goes to show how dumb stats are without context. That he, in the little games that he played, now remember, he was, playing for Atlanta with Brad Guzan. Like, his stats were better than Matt Turner's and Andre Blake's. And I'm like, he also played like a third of the games. So, like, the context, it was like a pretty prominent page or writer. And I'm like,
let Cincinnati fans be happy, Justin.
Jeez.
No. I will remind them that they are the reigning wooden spoon winners, and they will stay that way.
3 years in a row.
Well, they rebranded. Now they're the Cincinnati Union, so it'll all be hunky dory over there.
It's FC Philly Skyline.
They're in the Super Bowl. They got better stuff to worry about right now.
It's FC Philly Skyline, because I also eat chili with a spoon.
There you go, Zach. I do have to ask you, if you had $100,000 on the line, could you get a PK past Joe Bendick?
Yes, I think I could get a PK past Andre Blake if I was $100,000.
Whoa!
Dang.
So bold. This is bold right here for you, man. This is really bold.
I think genuinely, like, I'm a very good penalty kick taker.
Okay, all right.
I think I could definitely do it.
Love the confidence.
We'll have to pull some strings. I got my content. My content.
I might, dude. Who knows? Maybe I just go a little Panenka too. Like, maybe I just pull one out. Because wait a second. Think about this logically, right? If Andre Blake knows that if he saves my penalty kick, I don't get $100,000. You think he thinks I'm going to Panenka it? No. He's going to dive to one side, and I'm going to chip it down the middle, and it's going to go in.
Oh my!
I wouldn't do that actually, though.
Dude, Andre Blake
actually think the penalty
is one of the best penalty kick stoppers I've
ever
in my life.
I know. Trust me, I know. But from what I've seen recently, people just aren't that good at taking penalty kicks anymore. I don't know what it is.
Just don't pull.
It's
looking at you, Cameroon.
It's ego, man.
It's a lost art, dude. You know what it is? It's the short run-ups. Ever since those stupid short run-ups started coming into the game, people just miss penalty kicks all the time.
They got Joel Embiid all mad on Twitter, and everyone thought that he was talking about Ben Simmons, and he's just.
I still think. Listen. I still think he was talking about Ben, but like he kind of used it as this ambiguous little.
That's fair. That's fair.
That's why we love Joel Embiid. Just come back to Chester. We miss you down there. All right, let's look at our defenders here for the Philadelphia.
Real quick, one more thing on Joel Embiid, if you don't mind. Did you guys see that Joel Embiid said he's going to force his son to play soccer?
Yes, and the Philadelphia Union Academy.
Union Academy's like, we got a spot for you.
It's like basically like, hey, what's up?
Just wait. Just wait.
And then I love the 4 go. Yeah, soccer some great footwork for basketball. It's like, dude, why can't he allow his son to play soccer? Like, it's not a bad sport, people. It's a great sport.
He might end up being too tall to play soccer, to be fair.
Hey, did you see center backs that Union
put him in
dude, I don't know. 7 foot's a bit tall, man.
Listen, he's just to be a striker.
That
is true. That is true. Daryl DK on steroids. Give it to me.
Exactly.
Give it to me. All right, let's look at
Peter Crouch mixed with Daryl DK. Is that what I'm hearing?
I just hope that he's got some more meat than Peter Crouch.
Yeah, people joke about Peter Crouch, but man, young Peter Crouch.
Peter Crouch is a legend, dude. He's a machine.
Yeah, he was.
Scored one of the best goals I've ever seen in my life.
Breaking news. Breaking news.
Celebrations.
Breaking news. Paxton Aronson just buried a goal into the bottom corner from outside the box. It's 2-1 in the 118th minute of a scrimmage.
See, this is what I want to see. I want to see that goal.
Play the kids.
Oh my God. I can't wait to talk about him next week. All right, let's look at these defenders. Obviously, one of the best units in the MLS. We got, of course, your usual suspects at the starting line of Kai Wagner, Jack Elliott, Jakob Glezis, and Olivier Mbaizo. Then we also have Nathan Harrell, who obviously put in a great, a solid performance in the Eastern Conference Finals. Anton Sorensen, the new homegrown, and of course we have Stuart Finley. Matt Real also here as well is back with the club, and I don't know where you want to put him, but obviously Brandon Craig has seen some time at center back, but he's still listed as a midfielder.
I'd say center back, realistically.
Yeah, I would say the same thing as well. So I mean, guys, this is kind of another unit where sky's the limit again. These guys have balled out the past couple seasons. Last year the story was, obviously losing Mark McKenzie, kind of a big deal. Losing Ray Gaddis, you lose a big voice, despite what Paul may say. So these guys stepped up and they had better year than the year prior, the Supporter Shield year. So I mean, I guess we'll start off with you, Tim. Again, like, what is the ceiling for this freaking unit?
I mean, it's a trusted unit. At least the 4 starters that you would think of, Kai Wagner, Olivier Mbaizo as your outside backs, and Jack Elliott and Jakob Glesnes as your center backs. I mean, when you have solid center backs, they don't have to be the best center backs in the world, but just solid center backs, you can make a run. And that's why Ernst Tanner signed each of them to 3-year extensions, because they're very solid center backs and have the potential to be in that, defender of the year conversation, kind of year in, year out. And yeah, I think the sky's the limit for this group. Even if something happens and Kai Wagner does leave in the summer or something like that, because we know he wants to go back to Europe, like Matt Real, could come in still and put in a good performance. He looked really good against Cincinnati in the preseason game. I know it's Cincinnati and it's a preseason game, but he looked very comfortable being on the ball on the left wing and putting in crosses. So, I mean, that's what Kai Wagner does so well. So, I mean, yeah, this team, it's still very sound defensively. And then you got guys, pushing up the homegrown ranks. Nathan Harrell, could push Mbaizo. And then Anton Sorensen, he came in that first preseason game, played right back for a little bit, was obviously uncomfortable because he's a left-footed player, but then was able to get switched over to his more natural side later on. And he looked decent against Cincinnati, who had just put in their subs like at the 60th minute or something like that. They played their starters for more than half that game. So, yeah, it's a good group, with veterans in the starting positions and then young, hungry homegrowns to push them. And I didn't even talk about Stuart Finley. Like, he's played both preseason games now because Jack Elliott might be dealing with some kind of minor issue. And that doesn't look like they've really missed a beat. And we saw that in the Eastern Conference Final as well when he stepped in. So, yeah, this team's defense it's solid, and it's the foundation to what this year really could be, which, Jim Curtin and Ernst Tanner have repeatedly said it's MLS Cup. That's what we're going for.
Yeah, man. Yeah. This Jim loves his. He likes 3 starter quality center backs. I mean, he's had even like 2019, Trusty, McKenzie, Elliott as the 3rd guy. So it's really important and it's big there, and I'm excited to see. Justin, what I want to ask you, man. So look, obviously we have our 4 main clogs back there. How much rotation do you honestly see with these guys? I should say.
The only possible rotation I maybe see is for early Open Cup games or Leagues Cup. I think in terms of regular season, you're probably not going to see a ton of rotation. It just Jim doesn't rotate. Let's be honest, Jim and rotation just because if you have players like that who can play those minutes, who can do that, that's a luxury that you will love to have, and be able to roll out that consistent back 4 for as long as Jim can. He's going to roll with it. So I don't really see outside of some cup games much rotation.
I completely agree with you, man. Zach, obviously we saw last year Powell, pushing for some minutes here. Could you possibly see Nathan pushing Olivier for some minutes at right back?
Bizo keeps making mistakes like he did last year, for sure. We saw in the Eastern Conference Final, like both goals are his fault. And he's the guy who was there for the whole season playing basically every minute. So, there's definitely attacking wise, Bizo's great. He gets down the wing, he combines, he crosses balls in. Hopefully he crosses less balls in this season because we can actually build up the middle. But defensively, he lacks. Same with Kai, right? Kai's a very modern outside back, just like Bizo. Defensively, they lack a little bit. Bizo, I think, more so than Kai. But, we'll see. If Harriel can do what Bizo does, even 75% of what Bizo does attacking-wise, but can do 75% more than what he does defensively, I don't see why Harriel doesn't become the starter at some point this year. But that's yet to be seen.
Man, I'll tell you what, Harrell's got some speed, that's for sure, man. So, but defense is the key part there to get some serious minutes. Tim, will Kai be gone in the summer?
I think so. He's been talking about it for 2 years. If his agent can't get him a move after 2.5 years of being an all-star caliber left back in MLS, probably the best left back, or maybe one of the best left backs, in the league, then I don't know what his agent's doing. Kai said repeatedly, I want to go back to Europe. That's where he wants to be. He wants to prove himself. Came from the 3rd division in Germany over to MLS, and now has been consistent for 3 seasons.
Yeah,
he'll probably get a chance, and I would think the Union would let him go, to do that, because that's sort of their whole mentality is to give players that chance. Like we saw with Casper just now. Casper didn't want an option deal. He wanted a guaranteed deal. So they traded him to Chicago to give him that. And they brought him in for $0. So it's straight profit. And I don't see why they couldn't do that even more so with Kai Wagner.
Yeah, so curious to see what we would be able to sell Kai Wagner for. But I agree with you, man. If that's what he really wants, then let's give it to him. For sure. Let's give it to him. Justin, between these, I'll say the whole unit. Between this unit, how many goals do we see from defenders this year? Got a couple guys who can score.
That's a good question.
I think I don't know if I can give an exact number, but I would say
over under 5.
Over
easily over 5.
I think the 5 to 10 range is pretty reasonable.
Ah, okay.
I think Lesnes gets 5 himself.
I think honestly, you could have close to 5 goals between Jack and Glesnes.
Yeah,
how many did Glesnes score last year? 3 or 4?
3.
Counting the playoffs, I think it was 3.
3 or 4. I can list a couple. So
he scored the banger.
Obviously Atlanta.
He scored one off the back of his head on a corner.
I remember that one.
The Red Bull one as well. So yeah,
Jack had a few. So I think
yeah,
between that you get close to 5. So I think it's possible.
Yeah, Jack Elliott always scores in the box. Like if he's in the box and the ball falls to him, he's putting it in the net. So
I mean, Olivier had some solid attempts last year.
He has chances. He just doesn't seem to ever get it on goal. And Kai Wagner can sneak in a free kick every once in a while. So maybe like one.
That is absolutely true. It's crazy. This unit is absolutely wild. But the Union beat Montreal 2-1.
Hey.
Corey Burke and Paxton Aronson get the goals here. Obviously, Sean letting us know too. Paxton scored from at least 18 yards out. Should be
Man,
a
I hope they got video of it. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, so last year Glesnes had 3, Kai had 3, Elliott had 2. So that's 8 last year. Did Bizo score? I don't think so.
No, he had some chances, but
no, he had the one that they thought was his, and it ended up being.
Yeah. Okay, so they scored 8 last year as a unit.
It's very true. Very, very true. All right, going to do it for yet another episode of DOOP by the River. Thank you so much for tuning on in. We'll be back again next week for another episode. We have a while till a preseason game, so we'll find some stuff to talk about next week. Of course, we'll be doing our midfield and our forward previews as well. Guys, make sure you guys check out Philly Sports Network. We'll keep you updated with articles from these lovely gentlemen here. So make sure you guys stay tuned to what they got dropping out there. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you guys hit that like button first and subscribe to Ed Parcero's Philly YouTube channel as we broadcast all of our DOOP by the River lives on there. And of course, you can find us wherever you stream podcasts from Apple, Google, and Spotify. You can find us under PSN Radio. PSN Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, that is Zach Labasso. That is Justin 41212, tactical expert Freiburg. That is Tim Lovinguth. And of course, I'm Ed Parcero Philly. And we're telling you guys to DOOP on. Talk to you guys soon.